Nobody I know.
Exactly.
Amen.
Yes.
So if I can share it with as many people, and if I could possibly get one to take action, engage in volunteerism, and build their resume so that they can go to college for free.
Y'all gonna do church for real, huh?
I would not do that. That's right.
We gonna do church for real. We will now open the doors of the Zero Debt College Project.
The Deacon Vaughn on the board.
Is there one?
That's right.
Is there one? Okay, we're really live for real now.
Okay.
On the Zero Debt College Project. If you're just joining us in the Zero Debt College Project, you might have missed a few little moments of the sneak peek.
What should have been background.
Well, we've been live for about 10 minutes.
Yeah. Should have been background. But
yeah, we're gonna introduce our special guest now. We're gonna start with Vaughn. If you just joined us in the Zero Debt College Project group, this is all about learning how to use volunteerism to get scholarship dollars. And our very special guest, besides all the people that you see, is this woman right behind me. She got 10.5 million in merit scholarship offers last year. And a large part of her success came from, I call it being a good person and letting people know it. Being a good person, doing volunteerism from a very young age and continuing, never stopping. And she's still doing volunteerism, and she reaches out to others every week, helping us now as the executive director of the unpaid. We love you though.
I don't need
the unpaid executive director of the Zero Debt College. Out of love,
yes.
out of love. All right, so we were about to introduce our candidates who were so kind to pause in their very busy schedules the week before voting starts and share a little bit about themselves and about the importance of voting, especially voting in local elections. And we'll pick up with Mr. Vaughn. Thank you, Vaughn.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Thompson, for having me. I am so honored to be on this panel and able to offer or give and receive all the information that you can share with us about how we can move our next generation forward in a more positive, debt-free way. I think that's a very commendable thing, especially when it comes from a position of servitude. You know, I'm Vaughn Gipson. I am a candidate for Town Council for City of Little Elm, specifically in District 5. And the position that I come from is more or less common sense and servitude. Okay, I don't think that to be a part of this community and move it forward takes a lot of high-tech maneuvers. I think it's very common sense. Be good to people, hopefully treat them the way that they deserve, and look forward to the future in the way that you would hope someone would look out for you. In doing so, I think being a part of community service, which I have been since before I even moved to Little Elm. I've raised money for schools. I've raised money for families. I've given money out of my own pocket to families. And even now, my team is engaging in fundraising, and we're doing a food pantry fundraise. We just finished cleaning up the Union Park Elementary School right here in my neighborhood. So as far as it goes with what you guys are doing and teaching, it exactly lines up with my fundamental standpoint and values in what I'm choosing to do as a candidate for this town council, which is simply to serve at my highest capacity, my highest level, by time, my finance, and my abilities to move the people. And I want to move everyone forward. And what you're doing with this Zero Debt Project is just simply incredible. It absolutely aligns with my fundamental belief that there is a way forward that includes everyone and does not require anyone to operate outside their character or their bounds. I think we can all move forward together, and with some good ideas like yours and these fine people like Jasmine and Kendall, I think and Chloe, I think what you guys are doing by way of community service and engagement, I think that sets the precedent for who comes behind you, and it absolutely changes the landscape of the expectation to move forward as a community leader. You cannot lead, in my opinion, which is something I've learned in the military. You can't lead unless you have learned to serve.
Yes.
You gotta be able to follow before you can never lead.
Yes.
So anyway, I'm Vaughn Gipson. I am a candidate for council here in Little Elm. Obviously, I want you to vote because the importance of local elections is paramount. Everyone is entertained and hyped up by the national election. Well, when you really want to see what matters at your front door, you need to get involved and get engaged at your local level, because that's what changes the landscape of how your day-to-day life operates, from roadways to how school systems will help, where zoning is. All of it matters. So yes, take the time, take a few minutes out of your day, learn more about these candidates, make an educated decision, and please, by all means, exercise your highest value as a citizen, which is to vote. People have died, served, fought, and continue to fight for this very right. Please do not take it for granted. Get out and vote. And you young community leaders that's got a voice, tell other young people. You can do it right now, even as a junior. There are seniors that will listen to you because they see you from a different standpoint.
Yes.
Be action oriented. I absolutely love it. I'm so glad to see and meet all of you, because
I'm surprised. Chloe has something to share. She is that person that before she could vote. Chloe, how old were you when we did the voter registration drive last fall?
I was still 17.
Yeah, before so that junior that you're talking about, right? But she was a senior, she was 17 though. Chloe organized a voter registration drive last fall. And I want to say, did Colin get his on this spring?
What was that?
Look, Mr. Cornelius, did
Colin wasn't able to make it, but he tried.
Yes, so, but we have them at the school. We have them at the school, right? So Chloe, unable to vote, organized a voter registration drive. And then y'all get this, and then left me sitting there and went to class. So I showed up for the voter registration drive. She walked me down to the table and then said bye and left me there to do the voter registration. But that's exactly what we're talking about. Even if you can't vote, you can make sure that people who need to register to vote, get registered to vote. People who need education about voting, get education about voting. And that's exactly what she did. But pop quiz for you, Chloe. How old do you actually have to be to vote?
You have to be turning 18 by the election. So you can register to vote before you're 18. You just have to be 18 by the election.
By election day. Not early voting, election day. Let's make that clear. Which in our election is May 1st.
May 1st is election day.
So you still got time.
Look, I'm gonna put this on Kendall. Kendall, what is April 19th? The first day of what? Kendall, pop quiz for you. April 19th is the first day of
early voting.
There you go, early vote. My babies got this. They got this. April 19th is the first day of early voting. So, and I didn't pull Jasmine in. Why? Because Jasmine does not live here. She's not not in Texas. And something for everybody to understand is each state has different dates for their voting and for registration voting and for processes on voting, the whole thing. But your basic common right as a U.S. citizen is being able to vote. Now, you can lose some of your voting privileges, but there are usually ways to gain that privilege back. And so today, one of the ways we're demonstrating these differences, we've got a student from outside of Texas who's very young, but look, she's still getting community service hours by being a part of an effort to encourage voting. There is always a way to get involved. And I want you to see Chloe and Tamia and Aaliyah. Y'all know Lily is in the back in the kitchen cooking. Now, Lily is our household cook. I can hear her turning the oven on and off and the stove on and off. Now, we all in here. I don't smell any fire. She's fine. I'm a good parent. I'm a good mother. I promise. If I taught my baby how to cook, she coming in here with plates. She has plates with pancakes. Look.
You gotta share it.
Yeah, she's been in the kitchen cooking. She's supposed to be on the live, but she's in the kitchen cooking. But Aaliyah is supposed to be coming to demonstrate how you can be very, very young, but she's clearly have a different agenda right now, which is to eat. But what you can do when you're doing this is earn your Presidential Service Award. And Chloe's gonna talk to us a little bit about why it's hard to get that. It's a very simple reason why it's hard, and it's about tracking your hours. So we're gonna come back to that very important issue, which is why kids in our program sometimes miss getting the Presidential Service Award. It's not because they didn't do great community service, it's because they forgot to write it down. They forgot to track it. And it's very overwhelming, isn't it, Chloe? If you don't track it, and the end of the service year comes and you're trying to figure out where you got this hour and where you got that hour, it's hard to figure out. But first, let's hear from, who do we want to hear from? Mr. Lucas, y'all, or Mr. Cornelius? Mr. Lucas is supposed to be up next. Mr. Lucas, you ready?
I'm ready and live from
Chloe back and talk about the Presidential Service Award. Okay.
Ready and live from Lake Louisville. A windy day out here. I had to pop inside real quick, but first off, thanks for having me, man. I wish I would have had this type of resource available back when I was in your guys' shoes. You know, I just want to give a little background before we even get to where I'm at today, because I want to connect the two together of what you guys are going through. I came from a small town, you know. One could have said that opportunities would have been limited, resources maybe unavailable, and people maybe, you know, uninterested. But if you put yourself out there, regardless if it's a small town or a large city or a large metro, there are opportunities to be found, you know. So what you have to do is just continue to find those opportunities. You know, you can connect. Everyone can be a person of reference going forward. You know, when you're getting into these scholarship committees and they're asking you how you stand out to the next, if you put the time in, you put the effort in, and you have the relationship with somebody, it's going to come across naturally, and it's going to come out pretty quick to that person interviewing you. It's such a competitive world today in these scholarships, as you guys know. And it's the fact that you have somebody sitting behind you who's raised so much money is just, I can't even believe that. You know, it's fantastic. I mean, it's the number you put out is just astute. You know, I just can't believe it. But you know, so you continue to put the time in. You know, again, if you're in a small town, you know, opportunities are still there. You know, schools, chambers, your churches, as we talked, kind of people talking about the two at the start. Just figure out a way. And if there's something not there, then form it. Find other people in your network, in your town, in your circles, and put a plan of action together. Don't let where you're at or maybe limitations get in front of you, you know. And so you know, I kind of continue the importance of fiscal responsibility, and I say, let's not stop the no debt tactics and that mindset at college. And once you've concluded college, I tell you, that's where a lot of people get in trouble. And so, you know, for me, going back, I put myself through college 100%, you know. And so that importance of like volunteering, getting out, doing just about anything, everything that you could to you know, serve, but at the same time to get that valued experience, so you can kind of know what you're wanting to do, and translating it definitely takes shape. But when you get to college, you know, you kind of go through that route, because that's, you know, you're kind of free from the nest, free from mom and dad or, you know, guardian. You're kind of left to make your own decisions at that point. And that's where you can get in trouble if you're not careful. And that's where those credit cards can rack up pretty quick. Or maybe you've gotten out of college and you're, you know, in your entry level or kind of doing an internship. Like, you know, I did 3 internships before I was even able to get an actual full-time job. And so you're finding yourself pretty quick in financial trouble if you don't monitor and be careful. And so there's many programs out there these days, but I think just to build upon this, take what you're learning now and apply it down the road. It doesn't stop, you know. And so I just wanted to kind of start there. So, you know, as a candidate, if you don't want to bring it forefront, as a candidate, you know, community stewardship is one of our top 3 pillars, and within that is fiscal responsibility. It's volunteering, and it's programming and working with the community, with each other, to bring those 3 together. And so when you say that, you know, we have to be fiscally responsible as a town, and what we do with our money, how we spend it, how we manage our debt load, and what we're doing to invest back in our current state, as well as where we're going to go down in the future, you know. And so that doesn't stop, again, going back to that fiscal responsibility. But you know, Vaughn, you know, leading off, did a fantastic job on pointing out the why we're called to do servantship. And I think he made a good point. You lead, you've had to follow first before you can lead, right? Because you bring that experience to the forefront. You know, somebody who comes in out of the gate without any substance or without any whereabouts, they may talk a big game, but when they actually get in that position, they may falter or be overwhelmed because they didn't take the time along the route to work with their connections, mentor programs, direct experience, hard learnings that didn't translate, you know. And so when you've served, to serve, you're definitely, it's a sacrifice. You're sacrificing your time, your effort, your money, and probably your hobbies, because you're doing something for somebody else. That's what serving is. I don't know how to put it. It's not about you, and so when you're doing that, man, if you actually like embellish that opportunity and really soak it in, you'll sit back and at some point have that moment of gratitude and savory and say, man, I cannot believe the things that I've been served back, And so it's a 360-degree model. You serve and you're being served, just like, a lot of times, you lead and educate others, and you actually learn from the students. And so it's just crazy what you can learn, what you can gain, and what you can do when you put yourself out on a limb to serve, and what you can be impacted back. And what does that do? That drives future progress and future initiatives and future opportunities that come through those connections. You don't just come up with initiatives and plans and stuff without some sort of foundation. That foundation may have come through data and learning and from other people's experiences and maybe mistakes or things that worked well. That's the data analysis, the analytics, right? That's one thing. A lot of times you learn through people's failures and what they didn't do, because they didn't lean on others. They weren't community based. They didn't focus on the people they were representing. I think it's very key, just to kind of get into where we're at while we're on. But, when we're working with Little Elm, we're talking about Little Elm. It's about what we're doing with each other, for each other, and what that then breaks those walls down. That's where that community starts to form, and that community sense, and then that community enablement, community participation, whether it's in the community and doing that, or if you want to talk about voters and getting to the voters education. First off, let's be informed. Let's be available. First off, be available. Let's be informed. It's a two-way street. I need to know where people are, and they need to know where I'm at. If there's got to be that communication point, that transparency that's out there, that communication, the two-way channel that comes back and forth. 3, we have to be engaged. So, okay, we can know all this stuff. We've learned about the person. We learned about what maybe it's a bond or something of that nature. We've seen that. But what are we going to do? Are we just going to sit back and just let things happen? I'm just going to walk down to the, and maybe I vote, maybe I don't. That's one act of participation. I think somebody touched on it earlier. The second part is actually sharing and telling and rallying others. That is key. And so when you see that, people become more engaged, more willing to actually participate. In the municipal elections, less than 10% of our population actually vote. Man, that's if you think about Little Elm in the context, we're about 50,000 people. So you really only have 5,000 people voting who are making the decision for the rest of the 45,000. If you want to have a balanced community attack where everyone feels included, we got to get people out there. I continue to say this, but you matter, your voice matters, and your vote matters. Because at the end of the day, when those 3 are put together, it equates to your town matters, And so there's no other ways to put it. It's one thing to complain, and I say this because I've seen it since day one from moving here, because I live in an area where infrastructure and traffic and just the ability to maneuver within an area quickly is such a heartache, and really a pain point for many of us up here. And I'm talking about 380 and Highway 380 that runs through. But it's one thing to complain, but there's another thing to complain with actions. I don't mind if you want to complain, even if I'm elected to a person and I'm a complaint person, come bring your complaint to me. But how can I turn back and utilize you? How can you utilize each other to do something about it? That complaint.
I'm gonna say this to everybody: your vote is your complaint. That's how
exactly.
Your vote is your complaint. You can't fire an elected official. All you can do is vote them out. So your vote is your complaint. And the kids on the we finally have Lily.
Hello.
Lily is our young.
Hello.
But we have a pop quiz for Lily and for Jasmine. Jasmine first, because Jasmine didn't go have a snack. Jasmine, you can't vote yet, but she's here. And I guarantee you her being involved early on in the voting process encourages her and encourages others to get involved when they actually can vote later.
Research proving that that's true.
Exactly. You know, I don't deal with pretend. We always deal with evidence-based practice, and there's research proving that it's true. So Jasmine, you tell us, you know, what's a good age to get started?
I would say there's no actual good age to start, because starting young does help to build it up to the fact of you have a lot of experience with it. So yeah, you should start younger, and I just don't put it off to you actually you need to start doing community service and start thinking about your future and all that kind of stuff.
Perfect. Don't put it off. Get started now. Lily, how old do you think a person should be to get started involved in community service?
It's a trick question.
It is a trick question. Girl, answer the question. Look, girl, we live. Answer the question, Lily. How old were you?
7.
7. Lily was 7 when she earned her first Presidential Service Award. I tracked her hours because obviously she's 7. But that was even hard for me because when you're tracking your hours for something as prestigious as the Presidential Service Award, you have to really keep up. And Chloe's going to tell us about that. Tamia could, but she's going to tell us a little bit more about strategy about that 10.5 million. But Chloe had to enter her hours last year, and she understands the pain of realizing you need a lot of hours because she's a little bit older. And so I'm going to share with you guys this screen because you need to understand for the Presidential Service Award, first of all, they're not giving away that award. You have to actually earn it. And what you see here on the screen is the number of hours that you need. So somebody as young as Lily, she's a kid, 5 to 10 years old. She got the Gold Award because she earned more than 75 hours within our service year. But look at this. How old is Chloe? She's 17. And she had to get over 250 hours if she won the Gold Award. That's a lot of hours. And you have to meticulously keep up writing these things. So you can go to the Presidential Service Award to get more information. We're a certifying organization, and our service year, we certify every year. Mr. Cornelius' sons have gotten Presidential Service Awards repeatedly. They had the same challenges. Documenting those hours
And being
is the
careful
problem.
about what you count.
And being careful about what you count. Kendall has done amazing work. We're going to talk about counting your hours. Chloe, I know it's painful, but please tell people how you go about actually tracking the hours.
So last year I was able to get my bronze award, which was for 100 hours. I had planned to hopefully go for at least silver or gold, but obviously the pandemic hit, and so a lot of things shut down, so I wasn't able to volunteer at the library as much as I had planned. And so but I did try to reach out and get to some virtual opportunities. But when we were coming down to September, I kind of gave up on getting the award because I just hadn't been tracking it during COVID. But Dr. Thompson was like, Chloe, I know you have done these hours. You best go find them. And so I sat down for about 2 hours, just scouring through my calendar, looking at my past hours, looking at what hours did I give myself that I probably should have, I'm very stingy. I'm I don't want to give myself more credit than I did. So when I was volunteering all day for the band, I would only count a couple hours because I didn't really think I deserved an all day, but Dr. Thompson was like, no, you need this award. Give yourself the credit that you got. And so I went and extended and gave myself the full time for that. And so I was just scouring for 3 hours, looking through my calendar, and I came up with that 40 hours I was missing. And
That's
so it's very
you guys.
it's good.
If you go to our page, you'll see there's link after link of kids getting the award. And the conversation I had with Chloe, I have had every single year that we've been doing this, which is go in and count your hours. And they get tired towards the end because we're talking about a year's worth of hours. And I have yet to see anybody actually track their hours as they go. And then when they're going back on their calendars, they don't want to self-acknowledge. So I'm going to tell you, I've got 2 things, actually 3 strategies for using the volunteerism to get scholarships. 1, track your hours as you go. You are not going to feel like it later, 1. And 2, like Chloe's talking about, you're going to forget chunks of hours. You'll be back in your calendar trying to figure out what day and what time and what all did I do and was it an eligible activity. As Tamia is mentioning, everything that you're doing doesn't always count. Today's hour counts because this is a nonpartisan Voter education service project. But what if we were doing block walking for someone? Or what if we were actually out at their campaign site making phone calls or something like that? That doesn't count for the Presidential Service Award because you're campaigning for a particular candidate. But encouraging everyone to vote and understand their options to vote is a nonpartisan activity. So then you can count those hours. So last year when Smith was helping me with my campaign and doing voter education
and interning
and
on another
interning,
campaign,
she was having to like go through her day and like scrutinize 1 hour at a time. But that's what you have to do. So the first one is tracking your hours.
Text banking. I forgot.
Yeah, I forgot about it. Okay, yeah, forget about stuff. So one is track as you go. The other one is pick something that matters to you. And Aaliyah, although she's trying to fall asleep, that's what happens when you eat a big meal and you're supposed to be helping somebody. She picked something that was important to her. She said, well, Tamia had all these activities going on. I said, well, Lily, what do you want to do? She said, I want to help the kids, the children's shelter. I don't know where that idea came, but she was serious about it. And she wanted specifically to do a lemonade stand. Well, y'all know what was last year? Pandemic. So I'm trying to explain to her, I don't know how you're going to do a lemonade stand in the middle of the pandemic. And we did it virtually. So actually, we didn't actually sell a lot of lemonade.
I sold 2 packages.
Yeah, she may have sold actually 2 packets of actual lemonade. But how much did you actually raise?
$1,000.
$1,000.
Wow.
So she raised $1,000 for the children's shelter. And I put the link in the Zero Debt College Project to one of the news stories, but it was really a sweet moment. When we came out from the place, we dropped off the check, we were walking to get down into the car, and she just all of a sudden stopped. And she said, Mama, I just feel so good. And that's what you're looking for. So the second part of this strategy, pick something that matters to you. Pick something that matters to you, and then find an adult. That's the third one. You see all the students on this call, they couldn't have put this together virtually. Some adult is going to have to help you. So pick an adult, find an adult. If you're in the Zero Debt College Project, I'll help you. There's a litany of students. I do all kinds of things. But we help. We just show up. We help. But you need a caring adult. So strategy for parents, this is not the time to back up. This is the time to hold on and help, because some of their ideas, like Kelly was mentioning, they'll have an idea and then run into a stumbling block, or they want to do something, but it's not an eligible activity. So the third part is you have to have a parent involved. And although we're not taking new students just this minute, get involved with an organization that's going to certify the hours. And Tamia's going to talk about that strategy in a minute. You can do all the hours in the world. Guess what? When you get ready to put in your application.
I would also like to add,
okay,
but with what you were talking about picking something that matters to you, it's clear when you're talking about something that doesn't matter to you. Mm-hmm. It's clear, and it shows in your work as well. And I believe in doing things that matter to you and doing things that you enjoy. Community service just happens to be a thing that I enjoy doing. And every service project I've ever done is structured around things that I truly do care about, which I think shines through. And I think that's part of how I was able to win so much money, is from it being genuine work that I obviously truly care about and have a commitment to.
Definitely, I agree, 100%.
Yes.
You're a very caring person.
Thank you.
So we're gonna hear from Mr. Cornelius after this next little piece, because I want to bring Kendall in, because Kendall, we were live on Vaughn's station, but we were not live here with the Zero Debt College Project. So people don't know all the wonderful things you did, and some of what you said is part of our strategy. So Kendall, please share. This is Kendall Delph. She is an outstanding student. She's plugged in. All these kids are like plugged in all over the place. Kendall, please share with us some of what you've done this past year. She's gotten tons of food. I'm not going to tell. Kendall, you go ahead and tell all the stuff you've done this year.
Okay, so I gave over like 1,000 boxes of food to a bunch of cars during COVID. I what did I do? Oh yeah, created little gift bags for the retirement home, and then what else? Donated over 1,000 books to a homeless shelter.
Lots. So what you guys notice that I love is that she's able to quantify what she did. That's part of your strategy for scholarship applications, is quantify what you did. She didn't just say, well, I got some books and we donated some food. She was able to tell us in definite amounts how much she did. And didn't that give you a bigger impression of how much work went into it and how much effort and the effect of her effort? So when you're doing a scholarship application, you don't want to just say, I volunteered. Or on your scholarship resume, you don't want to just say, I volunteered. You want to quantify it, just like you just heard Kendall do. I helped donate tons of food. I did this many books. And you want to give some more information to help whoever's looking at the applicants to look at you and scramble around and say, can we find another scholarship for this person? And you say, you think I'm joking about that, but I'm not. Scholarships will find you. Am I lying, TT? They will find you. If they look at you, they'll be like, let me find her and give her that money because you've been so clear. But people have to know, right? People don't think that they can read between the lines. There's 20 people. You have
to be explicit and specific.
Yes, there's 20 people just like you applying for that scholarship. And you need to stand out from the people who look just like you. Just like Mr. Lucas was saying, they've got grades too. They've done things too. They look just like you. So how are you going to stand out? Your service needs to be very clear. So on your scholarship application, quantify it just like you heard Kendall do. And as you just heard Chloe do, you got to just sit down. And if somebody like me has to, I did fuss a little bit, but you know, me and Chloe, we fuss about text message. So I'm just fussing at her over text message because she don't talk on the phone much. But I was like, Chloe, get this. And I gave her a little extra time because my deadline is obviously later than the deadline I tell them. But our service year runs 1 full year. About this time of year, we do things like this to help the students get their hours. And if you're the adult involved, that's your strategy. You look at their eligibility chart, you help them figure out where they are, and then you come up with a strategy between like now and the end of the year for them to get those hours. Every time they earn a Presidential Service Award, it gets easier. The first time they earn it is just it's hard.
A lot of tears.
It's a lot of tears. Yes. Why are you telling them?
It's
a lot.
True.
It's not a lot of tears.
It's
not
tears
a lot of
and
tears.
late nights.
You know, between you and Chloe,
that's the truth.
I'm a nice person. Between me and Chloe, you think I just yell at you?
Nobody said you weren't nice.
Kendall, do I ever yell at you, Kendall?
Nobody said you weren't nice, but it's the truth. We
don't let the person in the middle of my screen talk now. Let's cut over to Mr. Cornelius. You laugh. Go ahead, Mr. Cornelius. Thank you.
TT giving you the blues.
Give me the blues, the grays. All right. 10.5 million. That's all I got. 10.5 million. You see what happened? Tears or no tears? Yeah. Late night or no light. Do you regret the 10.5 million? All right. See, okay.
Tell her to calm down there.
Yeah, calm down.
Well, definitely thank you guys. Thank you all for having me on here. I have supported this organization so many years. My family, my boys have went through it. Colin found a newly respect for the zero debt. Once he settled in to understand the importance of it, and he always knew TT got $10.5 million. What can I do to get a portion of that? So once he settled in, and then when the school sent, okay, this is what it takes to get to school. This is what you have. There's a delta. What are you going to do? Mm-hmm. So when he tuned himself in and figured out, oh, let me just do what Dr. Thompson said and fill out for scholarships. How many years have we been talking about this? For years. But luckily, he caught on, and he's a what we call him, a scholarship writing warrior now. And it's all paying off for him. So please be encouraged. Write those essays. The money is out there, like Dr. Monique said. It'll find you, but you have to set yourself apart. I learned so much from this organization. I went through college, unfortunately came out of college with debt. So when we were educated on this, it was like heaven sent. Because now we've been equipped and educated to help kids understand you can actually go to college, come out with zero debt. And that is what that's all about. So kudos, congratulations. You know, if you ever need me, I'm here. I'll always be here to present awards, to mentor the kids, just to speak something positive into them, because your organization has given me and my family the opportunity to not have to pay our kids debt. And that's what it's all about.
Yes, I'm going to use you as an example.
Please
So
do.
if you go to the zerodebtcollegeproject.org website, you'll see some young men sitting around a kitchen table. And the reason that picture is up there, I don't know if you even noticed, the reason that picture is up there is because we've been continually emphasizing you have to have a caring adult involved. And this works best when you have a caring adult involved. And so way back when we only had a handful of people, hey, way back then we had like 15, 20 kids. And I would literally drive around Little Elm, pick people up in the SUV, and we would go to my office because we needed the internet connection, and I didn't want my routed up in my house. But they were at people's houses. So we were all at the office, and he had people at his kitchen table, and they were all kind of logged in. We would do the activities together. We are 300 strong now, all across the nation and internationally. I cannot drive around and pick up children anymore, okay? But they still need caring adults, which is part of why we're doing this live today. I cannot emphasize enough that third piece of the strategy is the caring adult who gets involved, make sure that they sit down at the kitchen table and get to it. You have to do that. I know we talk a lot about helicopter parents, and that is not what we're talking about. To me, it's talking about the midnight owl, but she an owl. She don't function till after 11 o'clock in the first place. See,
right.
That's really what's going on. And Chloe, no, she procrastinated. I messaged them almost monthly to log their hours in tracking forward. Mr. Vaughn was like, what is post tracking? I almost put you on the spot, Chloe and Kendall and Jasmine said, why don't we ask them what it's supposed to be used? Track it forward is what we use. We got that system actually from Frisco's Volunteer Center, because the same system that they use, Little Elm's Volunteer Center, Frisco's Volunteer Center, came out for our very last in-person meeting before COVID. On that day, in the news article is posted in the Zero Debt College Project, Mr. Cornelius came out and did our last in-person presentation of the White House Presidential Service Awards. We didn't know that was going to be the last time. That was the last time. The newspaper carried the story, and that kind of boosted some of our membership at that time. But really what's been happening is that we've been using Track It Forward. One of the students from that day, from the last Volunteer Your Way to College seminar we had, was actually my tax guy's daughter. I didn't hear from her any more than I hear from Chloe or Jasmine. They don't really talk to me much. So I asked him, did she do okay? He said, you know, as soon as she left, she just clocked in and she just got all her money, all her money. He said, just like Mr. Cornelius just said, she did everything you told her to do, and she got all her money for school. So I want to emphasize to you guys that we share freely, we learn as we go, and what we learn that works, we share some more. So I'm telling you, these strategies we're sharing you today about volunteering your way to college, we're not talking 10 years ago. I'm saying the last session we had before COVID was our Volunteer Your Way to College. The students who were in there, I personally know one of them, just met with her dad yesterday. I hate doing my taxes, but I did my taxes yesterday. And we kind of did an update on her. He's like, she's got all her money for school doing this. Okay.
And I just checked in with them on Thursday. It was hearing the same thing for most of them.
Yes. You use your volunteerism, but you can't use your volunteerism if you're not tracking it. And you need someone to certify those hours so that you stand out from everybody else. And parents, caring adults, mentors, we need you to help them stay on task. That kitchen table is a magic table. You need them to sit down and do this, then they can come out with money for school. And there's also a lot of research on how much this prepares them economically for the long haul.
Yes.
For the long haul. There's a million studies out there that tell us that when they graduate from college without the debt, their retirement is more secure, their opportunities is more secure. You've heard each one of our speakers, they talk about how giving back is long-term. This is something that you start doing very young, and when they get into the rhythm of it, they're continuing to do service for the long haul. So now you've got great citizenship for a lifetime, okay? Now to me, I'm gonna let you, the $10.5 million to me of midnight tears and all, whatever, take us out. You guys put a big date on your calendar, April 19th. April 19th, that's when early voting starts for us. Jasmine, not so much for you guys. Jasmine and Kendall and Chloe, dock your hours today in track it forward. I guarantee you tonight I'm gonna check in about 6 o'clock. Y'all surprise me today. Just surprise me this time. Just surprise me this time. I'm getting old. Just start surprising me. Just surprise me. But I'm very proud of all three of you. I'm very proud of y'all. Lily is outside playing. It's a beautiful day. Y'all saw me kiss her goodbye. She outside playing. But the students taking the time out of their schedules, I forget which one of you said it, but that's part of your sacrifice. Part of your sacrifice. The leaders that we have here, part of their sacrifice is giving time. And I don't know if you all know, your elected officials locally don't get checks that they can. Y'all understand that? The school board don't get a dime. And the little coins they give everybody else, they can't live off of that. They can't even buy burger and fries at Jimmy's for that. Definitely you can't go to Savory Kitchen. I'm just saying. You go to Family Dollar and get you a bag or something, some soda. So it's definitely from the heart that people are serving. Okay, all right, TT, $10.5 million. People want to know how you did it. And we got 10 minutes. You got to wrap $10.5 million up in 10 minutes.
Well, first I'll introduce myself because I never really introduced myself. I'm Tamia Thompson. I'm the executive director now of the Zero Debt College Project. I'm also a student at Howard University studying political science. I'm trying to think of where to start. So of course, I'm attending Howard, paying $0, fully funded by my scholarships. And I just graduated last year, class of 2020. I came in through credits, so I'm a sophomore now. But
you gotta throw that in every chance you get. Okay, you're a sophomore now. Okay.
But, so everything that I'm saying is still relevant now. This isn't from forever ago. And community service was, I would say, 50% of what got me there. I just had this conversation yesterday. I'll give you all a little bit of background information. When I was graduating, I was nowhere near top of my class. I was, I think, number like 120 something. And I had a okay, decent GPA. I had like a 3.4. I did pretty well on my ACT and SAT, but I was graduating with 500 hours of community service under my belt and 4 Presidential Volunteer Service Awards, which helped tremendously. I've also been a Girl Scout since I was 5 and had earned my bronze, silver, and gold awards. If anybody who's watching this at all and that are in Girl Scouts, once you get older or have children in Girl Scouts, once they get older, they're gonna wanna quit. Do not let them. Because there are so many opportunities that I was able to take advantage of because of Girl Scouts. And I'm glad that you didn't let me quit because I would have missed out on a lot. But where was I? My gold, bronze, silver, and gold award. There were so many letters that I got, and I kept all of my acceptance letters and financial aid offer letters. I have them in a box in my closet. And a lot of them explicitly said, like, we're offering you this because of your extensive community service and your proven commitment to serving your community and leadership and those kinds of things. A lot of my hours came from, of course, Girl Scouts and things like that, but also a lot of them came from my own independent service projects. I think a lot of the time students don't realize that you can do that. You can just decide that you're doing a community service project and then do it. I did some canned food drives for the food bank just because I can do that. I got my clothes out of my closet, had my friend get some clothes out of their closet so we could take them and donate them. That's a service project. And all of that time counts. I volunteered at the library because I like the library and got some time there, and all that adds up. And especially when it's your own project, because that also shows leadership, of course, in addition to service.
You volunteer with Girl Scouts.
Yeah, I said that.
This is true.
I said that.
You did? Okay.
Yeah. Huh?
I'm paying attention.
Oh, so I'm trying to think where I want to go next because I have a lot to say. I'm trying to figure out how to boil it down into 10 minutes. Community service is not as hard as you think it is. It's not as hard to find as many people think it is, especially in the pandemic. A lot of students that I've talked to personally are like, well, I can't volunteer because everything is closed. That's not true. You can do so many things virtually. Like this is a virtual volunteer opportunity right here that some of our students are taking part in. There are some websites, I can't think of the name of it right now, but whenever I remember it, I'll post it, that shows you virtual volunteer opportunities that you can take part in. You can still do canned food drives because I promise you the food bank could use it right now, especially. You can still do coat drives, clothing drives, as many as you would like, all throughout the year. And it's also extremely important to track all the time. My first one, I
did not track. She didn't
track a single thing until the last second, and it was horrible. It was horrible. These last few, I've kind of gotten better. I think that a lot of students can say the same thing. After that first one, you kind of learn and you start getting better. I'm not perfect. I still have hours that I have not tracked for this year from like the last several weeks that I need to go to. But tracking is very important as well. Another big thing that helped me to be able to get to 10.5 million in merit scholarship offers is just applying. That's the simplest thing. But a lot of people don't think of that. Even if I was like, well, maybe I don't qualify, maybe I don't feel like I'm exactly what they're looking for, I'm gonna apply anyway, because the worst that you can get told is no. The worst that you can get told is no. And in a lot of cases, the applicant pool is not as big as you think it is. A lot of the time it is not as big as you think it is. A lot of my money that helped me cover my education at Howard was from my local scholarships that I would assume a whole lot of people are qualifying or applying for, because a lot of people qualify just by living here, but they're not. So just from local scholarships alone, I had $25,000 in local scholarships awarded to me that are now covering the cost of my education, and a lot of those are renewable. So those will continue to fund my education through the rest of my matriculation. That's a nice word.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes. What's your question?
What GPA do you need to volunteer in the community?
0.
Just point that out.
0. There's no
Okay.
GPA requirement. And a lot of scholarships you apply for,
that are service oriented.
Yeah,
There's a service oriented, don't even want a GPA.
And if they do, it's kind of symbolic. It's just
2.0.
like just prove that you go to school.
Right. Seriously, when we say prove that you go to school, they literally just want a letter saying that you're actually a
enrolled
student.
in school.
Right.
Like a lot of the ones that I applied for that I won just wanted me to show them my little thing from Howard University saying that Tamia Thompson is enrolled here.
Yes.
And that's all.
No GPA requirement. So this is where we talk about strategies for the average student. Your service scholarships and your service projects have nothing to do with whether you turned in your midterm or passed your final exams or got a sparkling score on the ACT or aced your SAT. It's about, did you actually do something to impact the community, document it. If you're a zero debt college project student, as soon as you earn your hours, if you're a senior, I certify those hours right away, because you can go ahead and get those on your applications for college and your applications for scholarships. After your senior year of school, when you start your freshman year of college,
none of your high school stuff.
None of that matters anyway. But what does continue to matter is your service and your leadership. Your GPA, everybody starts over with a clean slate the minute they're done with high school. You all basically at a 0.00 GPA because you don't have any grades from college yet. So the one strategy for an average student is really graduate from high school. You cannot go to college or vocational school or to two-year community college until you finish one so you can start the other. But don't pay for it. Do not pay for it.
I would like to add on community service.
On community service.
Because I feel like this is something that I benefited from having done extensive community service. That is not something that you would immediately think.
Right.
Having done 500 hours, even if I hadn't done 500 hours, I think that this would have still impacted me. I learned a lot of leadership skills that I still use to this day. And even just beyond leadership skills, just like empowerment of knowing that like, it doesn't matter how old I am, I can just decide to do something and do it for my community. Like I didn't say how old I am. I'm 18. I'm the same age as the current seniors in high school. When I did my first voter registration drive, I was 16 or 17. Yeah. when I did my first voter registration drive. I really couldn't tell you how old I was when I did my first community service event. I was
Maybe
under 5, probably.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Yeah. And I've never stopped really.
Right.
And I think that all of that, and I've written about that in Essays for Scholarship, which is another thing that I need to talk about at a different time. Not today.
Different time.
But that teaches amazing leadership skills
Yes.
and even self-confidence to know
Yes.
that just because you're young doesn't mean that you can't impact your
Mhm.
community. Just because you're young doesn't mean that you
Yes.
can't lead.
Right.
You do not have to wait until you're 16 or 18 or finish with college.
Jasmine
You do
is,
not have to
how old are
wait.
you, Jasmine? How old are you? 14. Ignore our dog. Jasmine is 14. Aaliyah's 7. And actually we have a young girl, she's 10. But what, Sydney, 11,
Sydney's
10, 10-year-old Sydney, who earned her Gold Service Award last year because she found an unincorporated area of Dallas that did not have water. And she decided they're going to have water this time. And so she just decided that she's going to make sure they get water. And she had her mom help her. Again, the caring adult is the missing feature here a lot of times. She had her mom help her put it all out over social media. She created a YouTube channel. She took water donations and cash, and she made sure that happened. Well, of course, at age 10, you would think that somebody would just say, well, that's important, but you know, it's a pandemic going on. She would not take no for an answer. You have to meet her. She would not take no for an answer, and she's amazing. Well, parents, if you're trying to get your children on a good momentum, let them do service.
And that goes right along with what Mr. Lucas was saying about putting action behind your complaint.
Yes, action behind your complaint. Action behind your complaint.
That
action behind your complaint.
Like if I do that all the time, and
yes,
my mom can attest to that. If I realize something is bothering me, I'm like, okay.
I would like to say that you don't really put action behind your complaint by yourself.
Well, not by myself. I never said it was by myself.
Everybody apparently have to do the action. Y'all, this is the true story. I'm gonna wrap it up with this. This is how Lily ended up doing the service project. We all had to go with Tamia because she was doing the service project.
My Girl Scout Gold Award, and what I wanted to focus on was economic inequality.
And so Lily was in the car, and she was focusing on economic inequality. So obviously, she needed to do a photojournalism of
that's what I wanted.
People.
That's what I decided to do, was a photojournalism project and a research project.
Right. So Lily didn't like seeing homeless people, obviously, right? And normally we like keep some water in the car to give out whenever we should run across that situation. And this, I don't think we had any water left or something, but anyway, my heart just broke because she literally was wanting to roll down the window and say, you know, are you okay? Can I help you? And I was like, Lily, we can't get out the car and help everybody. But that hurt her. And I said, well, what do you want to do about it? And that was how she came up with what she wanted.
And that's part of making it your own, is technically we're focusing on the same thing.
Right, but she wanted to do it her way. And so we did the limit. So I'm like saying to you parents that when they see problems, when your student sees problems and they want to do something, on the one hand, it's good for them, it's good for the community, it helps them develop a servant's heart. Servant leadership is an evidence-based way of being an effective leader. So they're actually gaining leadership skills that they will need for the rest of their lives. But guess what? When I say cha-ching change, I mean cha-ching change. When you figure out how to track it, get them acknowledged and get their awards and put that on their applications, now your student who's worried about their grades, they're worried about their ACT and SAT scores, does not have to worry.
And I'll add with that.
And we wrapping up.
Yeah, this is my wrapping it up, because I'm tying it all together real nice. So
look, I'm doing this.
Okay. So I just wanted to add real fast that your approach to your community service, your approach to addressing that issue that's bothering you, especially with younger students, can actually help you figure out a career goal. And figuring out a career goal is tremendously helpful with finding and applying for scholarships. So for me, I am a political science major. I want to go into public administration. So my approach to it was actually like, okay, so what is the root of this? And how can I get in contact with my local government? And I decided to go to school board because that's too much for me to get into right now. But my approach was, okay, how can we approach this like systematically? What can we do to fix this? My sister's approach was, I just want to give them something. Like, she's a giving person. She wants to do material donations. And I think that the way that you approach your service can really be impactful with figuring out what you actually care about and what you want to do for the rest of your life.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to our local candidates for taking time out of your busy schedules to help us understand. Thank you for Vaughn helping us go live. He was like, y'all gonna follow my lead today. We appreciate that. I thought that was the funniest thing ever. Ms. Kendall, thank you for sharing with us how to quantify your leadership, your volunteerism. Ms. Jasmine for helping us see that you cannot be too young or too far away and that virtual community service can clearly be done. You guys, she's our living example of being young and getting community service done. And I want y'all to know Jasmine was on me. Y'all talk about me being on people. If I got one more text message from Jasmine trying to understand the process and the procedure and what time are we doing this, I'm like, Jasmine, I was out at dinner getting text messages from Jasmine yesterday. I just need to understand exactly what. So she's a natural leader. Y'all talk about me. She was on it and she was logged in. She's the first person logged in. I wasn't even actually quite logged in. I was just kind of logged in. Great job, Jasmine and Miss Chloe. Round of applause. Thank you for the love you shown me, throwing me under the bus. You know I love you. You know I love you. I appreciate you, Matiti. Just there you go. But look at all y'all have achieved from my loving coaching. The love, loving coaching. Mr. Vaughn, Mr. Curtis, Mr. Jeremy, y'all came with it today. Y'all gave us a lot of inspiration about service and local elections and the importance of getting involved. Don't just complain, go vote. Vote April 19th, early voting. May 1st is election day. You guys, you have anything to reach out to me personally, you know I'm always available. Anyone here, I'm sure they have websites and Facebook pages. Y'all feel free to post it so people, if they have questions, they can reach out to you. Our students, y'all know I don't play about students having contact from grown people, so do not reach out to my students for absolutely no reason, but you can reach out to their parents, and if their parents say it's okay, they can have a communication with you. To those watching, that I really do mean that. I'm not playing. Because we do the live, y'all can reach out to me for any question about the volunteerism or whatever. But although you see their sweet, lovely faces, please believe, please believe, please believe. I don't play about nobody's children, and I consider them all right. Thank you so much, y'all. Y'all have a good day. Now I'm gonna go off the live.
Thank you so much.
We're gonna end Vaughn. We're ending the live now.
Are we?
We ending the live. That look, y'all watch him. Make sure he press his button. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna take the live down.